Here come the boys. Y'all ready to go swimming, baby? Come on. Give it up. Get out of that water. I tried telling y'all, it's swim lessons, baby.
Hey, Swim Lesson listeners, welcome back to another episode. And FYI, Swim Lessons is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. My guest today is Austin Dayton. And Austin Dayton's life has been an experience. And he's one of the most thoughtful, great people I've ever come across. And he's a successful entrepreneur with a coffee company that he formed called Nexus. He's also a cancer survivor. And how the two collided is a story in itself. I appreciate Austin giving us this time and an in-depth look at how his life is. And it was a very positive outlook. And I think there's a lesson in this that we can all take. He talked about a lot of personal experiences, graphic experiences, if you will. And really appreciate Austin. We filmed it in his house. And I found it very inspiring. And I really appreciate him. And I appreciate the way he looks at the world. But before we get to Austin, we got to talk about our sponsors because they make this all possible. And number one, I love this place. I eat there. It's Western ND's place to eat, and that is River's Edge Bar and Grill. It's known for offering the best happy hour in town, providing unbeatable deals in a lively atmosphere. Guests can also enjoy a variety of entertaining activities, including bingo, trivia, and the very popular Name That Tune. Come down to River's Edge for great drinks, great food, and great fun. Next up, this is a good one. Game Day Media, more than a game. Your leader in live video sports coverage in Northwest North Dakota. At Game Day Media, our goal is to expose, support, and promote the best athletes that North Dakota has to offer. Subscribe to our channel at Game Day Media ND on YouTube, or find them on Facebook, Game Day Media, for schedules, quick links, and games, stats, whatever you need. And make sure you enable alerts and make sure you watch for upcoming events Game Day Media has. Also, this one, went through my merch with these guys. They're fantastic. Since 1972, BSN Sports has helped area sports teams look their best as they strive for their goals and dreams. They provide apparel, uniforms, and equipment for teams in nearly every sport. Local service with a national reach, that is BSN Sports. Contact your local BSN Sports representative for more information. BSN Sports is a proud sponsor of Swim Lessons, the podcast. Next up, Nick Holberg. He's a fantastic guy. PSP Network, the great and powerful. They promote local athletes, and they do it the right way. Nick and his team are right now in the heart of dirt track racing, but PSP, they offer a lot, and it's coming into football season, coming into the fall stuff. Check out PSP Network. It's on YouTube at PSP Network or their website, psp.network. They've got a lot of old videos and things like that that you can watch. So if you're a student athlete and want to watch some game film, what's better than watching game film with the greatest voice in North Dakota next to mine and Randy Peterson's? That's Nick Holberg. Last but not least, the great and powerful Glosso Angus, a proud sponsor of Swim Lessons, the podcast. Glosso Angus is your premier source for registered Black Angus cattle since 1973. Glosso Angus cattle showcase dominance, durability, and docility and are built to thrive on the northern plains. Check them out at Glosso, that's GLASOE, Angus.com. Appreciate all the sponsors making today possible. And also make sure you check out www.dallashansen.com for our Swim Lessons merch. It's up there. We got a really cool sweatshirt and a great shirt. But I give you now one of the coolest human beings of all time on this rock we call planet Earth, Austin Dayton. My Texas named brother. How you doing, bro? Good to see you.
Turning it on, Dallas. Good to see you too.
Thanks
man.
for doing this.
Of course. My pleasure.
This morning, got up, beautiful Bozeman, Montana.
Yep.
Went to Nexus Coffee,
That's
which
right.
you know very well.
Yes.
Tell us about Nexus.
What do you want to know?
Start from the top, because one of my favorite things in life is to promote my friends' business, and your business has blown up while the city of Bozeman has blown up.
Yeah.
So take it from the top.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah. So I don't exactly know. I've done this before. I've had someone ask me where to start, and I started with a story about, those aptitude tests in high school. I took one and it spit out the answer back to me. The result was entrepreneur. And I didn't even know what that meant, and I had to Google it. And So I guess the reason why I start with that story is to say that it's not, the story starts not with a super huge desire or passion for coffee, but more just one for business. Then fast forward, college, entrepreneur group. I did like kind of a hack business degree. Went to the University of Oregon, and out there I worked for a company called Dutch Brothers.
Ooh, they're huge in Arizona when I was there.
Yeah, huge in Arizona. I can tell you why they're expanding to Arizona.
Shit gets you jacked up too.
Yeah, they have big presence all over West Coast. They're expanding California, all over now. Really smart business, based around coffee, but it's the business that is really what crushes. So, anyways, worked for them, and post college, I kind of had all these ideas, different businesses I wanted to do. And when I moved to Bozeman, I was like, whoa, a Dutch Bros would kill it here. And there weren't any. They only had the kind of old mom and pop shops. So worked a few years doing like tech sales, kind of like soul crushing office jobs, in my opinion. Those didn't work out. Then I did the whole Bozeman route. I did construction, waited tables.
How old are you when this is all happening?
Moved back to Bozeman when I was 24. Did the tech sale thing for like 2 years. So about 26 is when I started flipping over all the kind of traditional paths here. There wasn't a lot of opportunity here pre-COVID. There was some post-COVID. There's a lot more. Anyways, I got the COVID bucks. So I actually went down to Daytona Bike Week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Shout out Tanner Lee.
Yeah, I was going to say Tanner. Yeah. So Tanner got me hooked up on that gig. And I know a lot of your listeners are familiar. Well, you have a big North Dakota base, right?
Yep.
Okay. So these people know about Sturgis and things like that.
Oh, they know about the Buffalo Chip. Yeah.
Yeah. So Buffalo Chip, Daytona Bike Week. Anyways, I went down there because I was doing all these bopping around all these jobs. Just went and worked this event. On my way down there, the whole world was normal. I had like a serving job. I was going to work this event, move beer around for a week. And when I came back, everything had changed. Biden got the nominee. Oh, I don't know if we talk politics. Biden got the nominee or the nominee nod over
Bernie.
Thank you. Yeah, over Bernie. And I thought that was surprising.
Me too.
Biden was kind of like, I was like, what the fuck? Who is this guy?
Yeah.
He kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And then, the first case of COVID happened at Daytona Bike Week that I heard about. And so they shut down the event a day early, came back, whole world had changed. But at that time, the government was giving out free money.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
It was a great summer.
Hell yeah.
All my friends were around. No one was going on vacations. No one was coming here. And we all, were getting paid. But once that ran out, I could stare down the barrel and see, on the unemployment website, how much more payments I had left. And I didn't have very many. I maybe had 5 weeks left of paychecks. And I was like, oh shit, I got to figure something out. Opened up my laptop, got on Indeed, 30 seconds. Fuck this, close my laptop. I don't want to work for anyone else. Mm-hmm. The MO here in Bozeman was kind of, you had to work for pennies just to live here. You had to do someone else's operation. Wasn't a lot of good track, wasn't a lot of good industry. I mean, I shouldn't say that. There is a good industry. I had already done them and I didn't want to do them any longer. So I drew the line in the sand. I was like, I'm going to start my own business. And, all of a sudden the camera's just I was just got self-conscious about.
Oh, you're good, bro.
Well, I know, but being on film, I feel like I was doing fine until.
No, you're just good, man. Pretend they're not there.
Well, I know I'm gonna. Can I get the face tracking?
No, you're good.
So, anyways, dude, yeah, I had the dollars left. Looked at the job, didn't want it. Drew the line in the sand. I was like, I'm going to start my own business. And this idea of having a little coffee shop was kind of in the back of my head. Had a few other ones. Got on Craigslist, found one for sale, went and talked to the guy, realized in this conversation with this guy that he was trying to sell a business that he was listing it for $65,000.
Whoa.
And we went through his numbers and we're like, where are you getting this number? 65,000. He's like, oh, well, the goodwill of my customers. And we're like, all right, you don't have a brand. You don't even have a lease on your building. It's a handshake thing, which is cool. I'm all about doing business via handshake, but it's at the same time when you're purchasing something, you want something in paper, right?
Yeah.
Or in writing, I mean. Anyways, got off the call and I had my sister with me on the call. She's done a lot of acquisitions in her professional career. And so she was there to help me through that. And we got off the call and she was like, what value did you see that guy brought? And I was like, none. I was like, I'm going to go do this on my own. And so 3 days later, I'm driving to my house and I see this vacant coffee hut that I never noticed before. It was just kind of like stars aligned. And I saw it, did some research, figured out who was renting it, called them up. They told me the lease. And I was like, sweet, I'm going to do this. So
Just like that.
just like that.
How big of a moment do you think in your life was that when you shut the laptop, when you were looking on Indeed and be like, no, dude, that's a monumental point.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a big moment. And it was kind of, it was a combination of things of, people always talk about taking that step.
Yeah.
And that was just my own step to myself of, I'm not going to work for anyone else anymore. I've had this desire to have my own business, and I'm going to do it. And, I'm 20, I think I was 26 or 27 at the time. I think I was 26 turning 27. And it was just time to
turn the page.
To do it, try something, you know what? And it's not like I had anything else going for me. So what was the risk? You know what I mean?
It's such a lot of people say it takes like guts, heart, whatever you want, but the heart to go out, especially like a time where there's so much uncertainty like COVID-19. And then, like you said, the world starts changing, evolving, presidency, all this, the government, all this stuff. And then you're just like, nope, I'm going to leave it up to Austin. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And then boom, you do it.
Totally.
How was the first initial response once you got going? Were you like, oh man, this is going to be tougher than I thought? Or what were you thinking?
Oh, fuck yeah. It was way harder than I thought. Yeah. I mean, figuring out as I go, I do want to shout out this group that I joined via, there's a lot of really cool stories that kind of happened at this time. I had the idea of naming it something, found out via some other source that there was another coffee shop moving to the Gallatin Valley, named something very similar. It's like, what are the fucking chances of that?
What was the name?
Okay, well, then we got to go to the whole origin of Nexus. And this would actually be a cool little clip to have. So I'll go through and explain it to you. So my brother is really skilled in marketing. So I got really great siblings. My sister's super intelligent. My brother's super intelligent. They helped me a lot with this. So shout out to them. I was sitting down, my brother's a very skilled marketer, sitting down with him. We were brainstorming on what to call this business. I'd never named a business before.
Yeah.
Sometimes people, do something low hanging fruit. They'll do a pun. I don't know. I don't like those things.
Yeah.
I wanted something with a little bit of meaning. So we're sitting down, we're having this little brainstorming session. I draw a Venn diagram, and in one of the circles of the Venn diagram, I put Bozeman locals / college students. So the people who are kind of the lifeblood of this town, they've been here, maybe they're working the blue collar jobs that keep this place running. They're doing the construction, they're in the service industry. They listen to KGLT radio. Shout out to KGLT. It's like the local news, or the local radio station that has real DJs. It's based out of MSU campus. Like that demographic, right?
Yeah.
The people who ski Bridger Bowl, the people who, enjoy the mountains around here, the locals.
Yeah.
Then in another Venn diagram, in another circle of the Venn diagram, 3-circle Venn diagram, I had kind of like the suburban moms.
Gotta keep them involved. Yeah,
for sure. They got bucks, they got time, they're running around all the time. They got friends, they're it's a really cool community of a really cool demographic of people. And so wanted to have something that would fit them. And then, I think I actually messed up the story. There was the locals, there's that. But there's also then the blue collar guys, the guys who are here to work, the guys who are driving trucks, the guys who are waking up before you're up and they're coming home after you're already home. I definitely put these in the earlier group, but they're in their own group. Cause this is a huge lifeblood, our lifeline of this economy here is these guys who are fucking swinging hammers.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have them too. So I have this Venn diagram, 3-circle Venn diagram, and I'm pointing in the middle and I'm like, this is what I want to be. How do I do, what is this? And my brother looks at me and he's like, that's it. I'm like, what? He's like, that is what you want. You're the center. You're the middle. You're the intersection. And I was like, whoa, dude, I never would have thought of that. Yeah, there it is. That's what I want. So not being creative, I was like, well, coffee, Italian, what's the word for middle in Italian? I looked up, it's called mezzo. Okay. Yes.
Interesting.
And this coffee company in Four Corners I was moving in is from Billings, and they're called Mazzevo.
Oh,
So, like,
no. Yeah, that's a...
Bro, I had logos made. I had emails made. I registered with the state under Mezzo. It was all this work, all the front end work that you have to do to start a business. I had to do it twice because I had to go back and change everything. It's all good though. So fast forward, we're getting to this. We're getting to this moment of the shout out that I started like 45 minutes ago or whatever.
Oh, you're good, bro. Mm-hmm. You're good.
Okay, so I don't have a fucking name anymore, but I'm like still full steam ahead. I mean, I've already got everything in motion, so I just have to think of another name. I'm painting my stand. I'm painting my coffee stand. It was brown and orange and it didn't stand out at all. So I picked some colors that I liked and I brought in my friend and artist, shout out to Madison Parents, to paint this thing. And as we're out there painting it one night, we put in these big long days. So it's like sun's going down. It's in October, we're trying to beat the snow. Yeah. Literally there's a snowstorm
Winter
coming.
is coming.
Literally.
Yeah.
And this woman drives up, her name's Monica, and she has a business called Laundry Liberator. And she was picking up laundry at the business next to me. She's like, what is this? And I'm like, oh, it's my coffee shop. She's like, yeah, what's it called? I was like, I actually don't have a name. She's like, this is fucking badass. You need to join my business group, my entrepreneur group. I was like, whoa, what's that? So she told me, Bosom Mastermind, shout out Nick. And I go join this group and couldn't have done it without them. They helped me so much in just understanding how to launch a business. I didn't know. They have a hot seat format. I go in my first meeting, I sit down. They're like, who wants hot seat? And I'm like, I fucking do. Because I'm knee deep in starting this business.
Feet to the fire. Yeah.
I don't know how to start a business.
Right.
So they asked me, they're like, well, what's your question? Hot seat's yours. Let's go. You got 30 minutes and all these entrepreneurs sitting in a circle. Everyone's staring at me. And I'm like, I don't know how to start a business. How do I open the doors? Boom. Ideas start flowing. All that stuff happens. I still don't even have a name at this point. Yeah. So that's a lot of the story up until there.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you come up with Nexus?
So just one night I was researching my bed. It was kind of getting down to crunch time. I was kind of had a lot more things ready. And I was just Googling. I was like, word for middle, intersection, blah, blah, blah. And then I came across the definition of Nexus. And Nexus is, it's like the central point where things come together.
Perfect.
So the center of a Venn diagram is the Nexus. So,
well, one of my... I'm on social media a little too much, but there's some good things that come. There's some good things that come from social media. You're one of my.
Let's see your explore page, bro.
Yeah, no kidding. But on Instagram, you're pretty active on there. And a while ago, you have made a post, and it like took my breath away, which doesn't happen too much. But you're like, and I didn't know that you had gotten sick. You had gotten cancer.
Yeah.
And you were like, I'm whatever. I think it was like 100 days off the sauce, been clean, been working out. And dude, in this video, you're by the beach, and you're like flexing, and I'm like, holy shit, Austin's ripped. Because I had met you a couple times prior, a couple years prior at the Buffalo Chip, and we hung out, partied, got to know each other, had a great time, and then followed each other. And I see this clip, and I texted Tanner Leak. I'm like, dude, Austin got sick. He's like, yeah, man, but he's still doing good. Take us to an emotional spot when you hear, Austin, you've got cancer, and your life gets flipped upside down again.
Totally.
And then you have to kind of not only work this business, but work yourself back to the realm.
Yeah, good question. Just topic to talk about. Are you down with the long story?
Down with the long story.
Okay.
Bro.
So the cancer thing happened where I'm about a year into my business. I only have one of my locations. Long story short, on the business side, there was essentially two things that saved me during that time. One of them was my employees. There was no question on the full support I had from them, where I was able to check out of my business, basically not be involved at all. And I had 3 employees who were absolute rock stars, and they held it down for me for months. I mean, 3 actual months of me doing chemotherapy, and then multiple months after that of me just kind of like recovering from that, right? Because that shit knocks you on your ass. Yeah. So the cancer story though is a good one, and I'm actually it's kind of a fun story to tell. I think I have an ability to see silver linings and things. And so a lot of people often ask, they're like, even when I was going through it, they're like, oh, you don't want to talk about it? I'm like, no, this is actually crazy. When you get pinned up against something like your mortality or your health, it really starts to kind of,
fuck, dude. That's
form who, your character kind of gets shown, and it's like a moment not to like show your character, but like develop your character. Like, who are you? How are you going to take this? You have this big, I'm not going to share the news, but like if you have some big
news,
big thing going on in your life, like who are you going to be in this moment? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so you get to define yourself, and that's quite cool. So although cancer sucks, I don't wish it on anybody. I really got to kind of look into myself and be like, who the fuck am I and how am I going to handle this? But the cancer story is pretty fun. So it's shifting away from the business conversation.
How does that come up? Like, did you just go for a routine checkup, or what happened?
Yeah. So I have, it's like summertime, and we were just talking about it here in Bozeman. Summer fucking is going on.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
here.
There's a million things going on.
Yeah.
Everything happens at once. My like nut starts to swell up, and I'm like my testicle, and I'm like, well, this is weird. A week goes by. I'm like, is this kind of just like, why is this one hard? You know? And I'm like, does this just happen? I don't know this. Is this like a normal thing? I'll wait for it to go away. Well, like a week in, it doesn't go away. So the next week, I'm like, I have something. Like, I'm thinking I got an STD, testicular torsion. I'm on my phone all the time. I'm looking up, I'm looking up what is going on. And obviously I looked up testicular cancer, but the symptoms for testicular cancer were like lumps on your testicle, lower back pain, mood swings, things like that. And I'm like, oh, I don't have any of those, so thank God it's not testicular cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So I hit up Bridger Care. Shout out to Neve at Bridger Care. I don't think she's there anymore, but the woman's a fucking saint. I hit up Bridger Care, and they couldn't actually get me in for like 5 days. So now I'm like almost 3 weeks on this thing. Go in there. I'm like, hey, I think I got something going on. I think it might be like an STD, but I don't really know STDs that mess up your balls.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, like drop them. We do the turn your head and cough thing, just like the old, football physical or whatever. Yeah. Every guy's done that. And she's like, I don't know what this is either, but like we need to get an ultrasound to make sure it's not testicular cancer. So I go to the hospital. Same day. That was a red flag, but I didn't really see it at that moment. She's like, yeah, we'll get you there today. I was like, okay, cool. Cruise over there. Nice young gal from Kalispell. We're doing that. Drop my drawers. She slaps the hot liquid. It's like gel. It's like warm.
Mm-hmm.
Puts it on my balls, and she's doing my right ball. We're chatting. We know some mutual people in town. And then she gets to my left ball and just like shuts up. And I'm like, oh, no. Yeah. I'm like, oh fuck.
Oh shit.
So she's like, we need to go like talk to a doctor. And I was like, fuck. She goes in, she comes back like 2 minutes later. She's like, we'll call you. I'm like, okay, this isn't fucking good.
But that drive home was fun.
Yeah, it was a bike home. So I biked home with my fucking, swollen rock hard testicle. Like, but it was summer, so I'm like, okay, cool. Get home. And I have one of my best friends, Ethan's in town, and my roommate Delia at the time. And we're having dinner, and I'm like, you guys, like, I think I got cancer. And they're just like, holy shit, and we kind of like process that. And that was like the first like moment. And, oftentimes dealing with emotions, when you're dealing with them in your own head, it's one thing. And then when you like start to share that with other people, it's pretty emotional. So, we had some tears and just like some deep breaths, it's a really overwhelming feeling. And get a call from Neve, and she's like, hey, so we got your reports, and you have a big concerning mass, so we need to get you into urology clinic. All right, cool. What do we do? Oh, they're going to call you. Okay. They call me, hey, Tuesday morning, let's have you come in. I'm like, all right, sweet. See you Tuesday. So this is Thursday. And they're like, see you Tuesday. So I'm like, okay, cool. Go to bed. I like research a ton that night because I'm feeling my fucking fat, swollen testicle, and I'm like researching everything about testicular cancer. I stay up kind of late. I sleep in the next morning, which is kind of surprising. I don't usually sleep in. 10 in the morning, I wake up and my phone has just fucking erupted. I got like 9 missed calls. I got 5 voicemails from the urology clinic, and it's like, we need you to come take a test now. We need you here now. We need you to like come in now. And I call them back. I'm like, am I fucking dying?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is going on? And they're like, Okay, so like we need to get tests done because we're actually going to move your appointment to Monday. We need to get tests done on today so that the doctor can have something on Monday. So I'm like, okay. Go up there, get a CT scan and like blood work. And then they're like, okay, we'll see you Monday morning, 8 a.m. or whatever. Like right when we open, 9 a.m. Yeah, first thing. I'm like, okay, cool. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like know I have something going on at this point. They haven't told me directly, but I'm not an idiot, you know.
Yeah.
And something's wrong. And whatever. All signs are like you've got fucking cancer. So, dude, walking around like you're talking about an emotional point, you got cancer.
Yeah.
Those aren't words that anybody wants to hear. I'm 27 years old. I'm like, okay, I got cancer. Cool. The next day, I'm going. So that was Friday. Saturday, I'm going into Paradise Valley at Mill Creek with some friends. We're going to go camping and we're going to trip mushrooms. Mm-hmm. And so we've already had this plan. We got the spot. We got where we're going to hike. We already got the mushrooms. And I was one of my friends at the time, this hippie chick. We all get our camp set up and I haven't told anybody. I might have told her. We were kind of seeing each other at the time and I might have told her. But my other friends didn't know, and I wasn't going to kind of dampen the mood. Hey, guys, I got cancer. Let's go fucking into the woods and trip together. Right. So, anyways, we are getting ready to do this, and this like kind of hippie gal, spiritual lady, is like, let's not do this just for recreation. Let's use this psilocybin as medicine. And if there's any questions you need answered, let's try to like find answers to those on this psychedelic journey. I'm like, fucking, I know what question I got, you know, and my buddy's like, oh, I wonder what I'm going to ask. You know, we didn't share it with each other. So we hike up, beautiful hike, easy hike, which was kind of nice. You know, when you're tripping, it's like, it's hard to go straight up a fucking mountain. Mm-hmm. So we had a pretty good hike, beautiful meadow. Well, on our way up there, lightning storm, thunder, lightning, rain. We're deep in the mountains. We're like, fuck, we gotta like run off the trail, run up, kind of get under some trees. You know, I don't know if that's the best idea with lightning, but like we wanted to get out of the rain. We were getting hammered. So got out of the rain and we're sitting there and I have like this peak moment of, and it's going to sound really corny, but I felt all of my chakras aligned, like my energy centers, from my root chakra all the way out my head, aligned with the universe. And I got my answer. It was like a download. And it was a culmination of all the research that I've been doing the last few days of testicular cancer is the message that I got is like, you are the demographic to get testicular cancer. It is a white guy thing, predominantly white guy thing. It's like, if you're white, you're like 5 times more likely than any other race. It's a tall guy thing. So it's like, 6'2", 20% more likely, 6'4", 40%. I'm like, in 6'3", so
checking all the boxes.
Bro math. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
30% more likely. And the other thing I read was it has to do with the development of your testicles. So being tall when I was a kid, I mean, you're tall. I don't know if this was the same for you. I was like a bottomless pit.
Yeah.
I'm eating like crazy. I'm still sort of a bottomless pit, but I was just eating like mad, my poor mother having to feed me and my other 2 siblings. I can just eat all day long. And when your testicles are developing is when you sort of start to get this large appetite because you're growing. And when you're a large guy, you grow more. So you need more calories. Well, I lived in a food desert of Red Lodge, Montana, and, bless my mother. She's from the Midwest. I don't really think nutrition's super dank out there. Sorry, North Dakota people.
Steak and potatoes. Yeah.
Everything's fucking tan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're originally from Minnesota, moved to Montana when I was young, but kind of still had that Minnesota mindset. Montana, food desert, like the nutrition wasn't really the thing. And so also of the time, like early 2000s, it was just a lot of processed foods. So get this fucking, that's kind of like the the interesting background to this like download I got, but it was like, dude, you are the person to get it.
That's what that was your answer.
Yeah, that was it. It's like, this is for you, your familial history, your genetic history. Sorry, well, you're just the guy to get it. And I was like, oh, you know, I could accept that, right?
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah.
So we go the rest of the trip, laugh. I feel like a weight was lifted off my shoulders, you know, like I had understanding, you know, this like medicine or whatever worked. These mushrooms.
That chick was right. Yeah.
She was right. So then at the end of the day, I shared with my friends, blah, 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 you know, they were just like, wow. And I was like, coming from a place where I was really accepting it. I was like, okay, this is great. So the next day I go river surfing, go to the Yellowstone with a couple of my other really close friends. And we're on the bank of the river, and river surfing is really cool because you're in a wetsuit and you're like in the river. And I don't really think anyone gets to like experience, you feel like a newt or like a salamander or something. You have like this like protected skin. And so we're hanging on the rocks on the side of the river, river's rushing by, and God, we're all wet, you know, like cold and tired, but it's just like this moment with my friends. I'm like, you guys, I got to tell you, I have cancer. And, you know, I'm like, again, starting to tear up, like sharing this information with my buddies. And bless my buddy, I love this guy, but he looks at me and he goes, testicular cancer? I'm like, yeah. He's like, who's your doctor? Sour wine? He's like, don't let that guy touch you. He's a butcher.
Oh my dude. Back to square one.
Dude.
Oh my God.
Oh, I'm glad you get it, right? Because
Yeah,
was I was feeling so aligned. I was feeling so understanding, and just fucking bow. I was like, this guy's a butcher. And he tells me his experience with him about how he had a mass and he went in and he wanted to cut him out. And he told him, no, you're not taking my nut. The mass never changed. So this guy just wanted to, like, without any further opinions, just cut it out, right? And he's like, don't get it cut out. I'm like, fuck. This is Sunday. 8 a.m. on Monday, I go meet the sour wine guy. Big, tall German dude. Fucking asshole. We sit down. He's like, this is your CT scan. You have testicular cancer. We're cutting it out tomorrow. Any questions? And I'm like, oh yeah, I got a lot of fucking questions. I got a few questions, man. And I'm just like, I have all this doubt that my buddy sewed into me. I'm like, well, I'm like river surfing a lot. I'm like jumping on my nuts a lot. Is that like, could it be like scar tissue or something? And he's like, think about cowboys, bronc riders, bull riders. I'm like, yeah. He's like, they don't have an increased rate of testicular cancer. He's like, they bang their balls all day long. I'm like, okay, fuck. I'm like, are you sure it's not something else? Could it be benign? And he's like, look at this CT scan. He's like, this big white circle here, that's the tumor. You see this little line on the edge of it? He's like, that's your testicle. He's like, this tumor has completely consumed your testicle. It started from the inside out. You have no testicle left. If you don't want to cut this out, it's going to keep spreading. I'm like, fuck, okay.
Dude.
Yeah. So go out, meet the nurse, scheduling nurse, schedule the surgery for the very next day. Thursday is the day I went in to get
checked
at Bridger Care. This is Monday.
Oh my
scheduling
goodness.
for Tuesday. So it's just like bang. Sitting down with the scheduling nurse, she's like, okay, like da 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 da, and I'm like, yeah, like I can do this time tomorrow. I'm like, she's like, do you have any questions? I'm like, yeah, can I get like a prosthetic? Like, can I get like are there fake nuts a thing? You know, you're about to cut one out of me, and she's like, he didn't talk to you about that, and I'm like, no. She's like, okay, whoa, sorry. Calls him over. He scoffs. He's like, ha, you want a prosthetic? He's like, that's purely cosmetic. We don't do those. And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, you are in the business of cutting out nuts.
Yeah.
And you don't have fake nuts? Like,
yeah.
That's like being a tire shop and all you do is take off the tires, right? I'm like, why the fuck? I'm 27 years old. I'm single. Like, you're about to mutilate me, right? I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Nope, doesn't work. So now I'm all hell-bent on getting a prosthetic because I don't want to be deformed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I leave and I go, it's fucking pissing rain outside. I go into my truck. And I start thinking about, I'm like, how can I get a prosthetic? I call Billings Clinic in Billings. They're like, oh yeah, the urology clinic. They're like, oh yeah, we got prosthetics. Do you want a small or a large?
Oh, perfect.
I fucking want a large.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah. So they're like, oh yeah, we'll see if we can get it over there. We'll get a courier. We'll have them like drive it over to Bozeman in the morning before your surgery. I'm like, all right, sick. They call me back and they're like, actually, we can't do a courier service. I'm like, fuck, okay. And they're like, yeah, you actually have to get it done with us. I'm like, okay, fuck.
So now you got to switch doctors.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, how can I get a prosthetic? I Google it. I'm like, there's one company that has an FDA approved prosthetic. I'm like, this has to be it. I call their customer service. I'm like, hey, what up? I need a prosthetic in Bozeman. And they're like, sorry, we have to deal with your local rep. So they hang up and I'm like, oh yeah, I got buddies who sell medical devices in Seattle. I know how this game works. They bring it, they sell it to the doctor, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, who the fuck is my rep? Call them back. Hey, who's my rep? They're like, oh, this lady in Denver. Boom, ring her up. She's like, whoa, yeah, your case just hit my email. Like, she's like, checked it just as I was calling her. And she's like, I'll get you a prosthetic overnighted. I'm like, sick, cool. Wow, look at me just solving these fucking problems. I'm going to have a prosthetic. Fuck that doctor, you know, like, let's go. She calls me back later that day and she's like, Austin, we were going to overnight this prosthetic testicle to you before your surgery at 1 p.m. tomorrow. And I apologize, we can't do it. I'm like, why? And she's like, well, because our warehouse and our manufacturing, I don't know if it's their manufacturing, but their warehouse where they store all these things is in Minneapolis. And George Floyd had just been killed like a week prior. So fucking Minneapolis is on fire.
Yeah.
It's literally burning to the ground. And the riot teams are like shooting rubber bullets at people to get back in their house and shit. It's like a fucking war zone. So she's like, UPS can't guarantee. No one can guarantee anything overnight. They can't get out of the city.
Another hurdle.
So if that's not the most 2020 fucking thing you've ever heard.
Yeah, no kidding. Trying to get a fake nut.
And fucking the George Floyd and like COVID and all this shit. And I was like, this is a fucking shitstorm. So work with Billings Clinic, find a urologist who's actually nice and knows what's up. He was like pushing me through. He knew how to build the testicle so it wasn't cosmetic, so my insurance would cover it, all this stuff. Ended up happening was he was like, we haven't seen you since you were a teenager, so we would need a full physical before our hospital would accept you. And like, we don't have time for that. And so he was like, dude, just go get the surgery and I'll put it in later. But he also kind of warned me. He's like, your body can reject this. So he's like, it's not a bad idea to go remove your testicle and then wait until you heal. And then later we can put it in there. So you're not dealing with like a cancer complication and like your body rejecting something. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. This is my only option. So yeah, I got it removed. Dude, I looked so fucking butchered at first. Like, maybe people don't want to hear about this, but it was like a grim scene down there. Like, they had this huge scar, all this stuff. It was so bad, bruised, swollen. It was all ugly. And then like a week later, that all went away. And then like 3 weeks later, I'm mountain biking, I'm river surfing, I'm hiking. It was like nothing even happened. The recovery was so fucking chill. I just didn't have a nut anymore. And turns out having one testicle is actually pretty chill. Yeah. It doesn't stick to your legs as much. Like, stretching poses are easier. Yeah. Wetsuits fit better. You know, it's kind of,
heck yeah.
Yeah. You lose a little bit of your junk, but, it's actually not that bad.
Right.
So there's that. So that was like phase 1 of my cancer story.
So when did chemo start? How did they have to wait a while?
Yeah. Well, so my oncologist, bless her, Annie Castillo, she's since retired, but I asked her after it was done, I was like, so what next? We got it out. I got it checked up. All's good. I'm like, Annie, I want to fucking track my testosterone. She's like, yeah, dude, no problem. Turns out testosterone is the guy, actually, the asshole doctor, Sourwine, actually gave me a good analogy on this, because I was really worried about that. Having low T is like a really, it's a bummer existence. Depression, mood swings, can't get it up. If you can get it up, you can't come. Like, I don't know if your listeners want to hear this shit, but this is like a reality some people face.
Oh yeah.
I was freaked out by that because I don't want to be depressed all the time. I don't want to have mood swings, I don't want to be down mentally because my hormones are off. That would suck. And the guy told me this right out the gate. He was like, well, think of it like this. He's like, your body's a house and you have 2 furnaces and the thermostat's in your brain. So if you remove one of the furnaces, the thermostat still is sending the same temperature. Similar to women with ovaries, you can totally get by a hormone production. Everything's fine because your brain still is telling your body still sending the same messages. You just have less hardware to to make it, but turns out 1 is totally good. So I track my testosterone, blah, 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 all that. But right after the surgery, I talked to my doctor, my oncologist, hey, what do you think? She's like, I think really good. This is like stage 1C or whatever, stage 1D. I can't even remember. Everything is like, we got it really early. Signs look good. She's like, you can do spot radiation. And there's basically a well-known path for testicular cancer of the way that it travels through your lymphatic system. So it's like left nut, left abdomen, right abdomen, lungs, brain. And so they actually, one of the precautionary measures they take is they spot radiate the left lymphatic tract from your nut up to your abdomen. And I'm like, okay, what are the risks of that? And she's like, oh, well, it'll fry your other testicle. So like guaranteed no kids.
Whoa.
Like guaranteed infertility.
Whoa.
And I'm like, no, like,
yeah,
fuck that.
That can't happen.
Yeah, I want to have kids one day, or at least have the ability to, right? I'm not just going to like wax that. So I didn't do it. And I asked, and that's when I asked her the combo, what do you think? She's like, oh, I think it's good. It's looking really good, blah, blah, blah. She didn't tell me there was like a 50% chance of like a recurrence in 2 years. So dude, I just went back to fucking life as usual. I was like, I just own that shit. That was all cool. Mm-hmm. This wasn't my dialogue, but looking back on it, it's like, that's how I was acting. I didn't actually think that, but now when I look back on that time, I'm like, I did not take it as serious as I should have. I gave up the research. I got through everything and I was like, this is done. Cool. I'm going to move on. Yeah. My doctor said it was okay. Check what your doctor says, people. I'm not fucking joking. Yeah. Self-advocacy is huge.
Yeah.
And it's very understandable. You talk about Instagram. I made a post later. We're getting our chronology.
Chronological.
Yeah. Or chronological order.
You're good.
Messed up here, but definitely need to self-advocate. You're just a number to them. Modern medicine is incredible. It's the reason why I'm still alive, but it's not the full picture. Mm-hmm. You can't just rely on them. Mm-hmm. And so if anyone's listening to this and you are having health issues, get on top of those yourself. You have to call your doctor. It's up to you. Mm-hmm. They're fucking busy. Mm-hmm. They're overworked. They're tired. They don't have the time to spend on you. You have to spend it on yourself. So go back to this fucking whatever. And this is actually the time right when I started my business. So I was like working insane hours. It was summer, so I was staying up late. I was waking up early to go work the coffee shop. I'm eating like shit, just like what's available because I'm like never home. I don't have time. I'm just getting food where I can, food trucks, whatever, things like that. Just not taking care of myself. But I'm 27 years old. I'm like pretty robust. Mm-hmm. And I actually went back to the Buffalo Chip, partied down. I did a half shift. I only did 5 days and got COVID, get home. And I'm supposed to have an appointment, my yearly checkup. The hospital called me 2 days prior and they're like, you just had COVID. We can't see you for 2 weeks. So your Thursday appointment's canceled. I'm like, fuck. Okay. Thursday night, I get woken up in the middle of the night, this like excruciating lower back pain. And I'm just like, fuck. Like, what the fuck is this? Like so bad I can't sleep. Go into the ER. They do some blood work. The first time I had testicular cancer, LDH is it's not a tumor indicator, but it's a white blood cell count indicator. So if you have tissue damage, your white blood cell level increases and then you're able to track it via this LDH. I don't know exactly what it stands for. So the first time I had it, that's how in my testicle, that's how they knew that I had a tumor. And then I go to this ER visit on the day that I'm supposed to have my checkup that canceled because I got COVID. My LDH is like through the roof and I'm just like, fuck, like I know. Crazy timing. Next morning, I was supposed to go on a motorcycle trip over the Beartooth Pass by myself, just like a little kind of spiritual journey. I just set up for myself. Well, now I got a lot to think about because I'm riding this motorcycle with a tumor.
Yeah.
And, met my mom at our cabin out there and just kind of told her, I'm like, hey, yeah, I think I got cancer again. Went in and they were like, yeah, dude, sorry, you got like a tangerine-sized tumor in your lymph node in your abdomen. So the cancer spread. So it actually never went away. When I cut it out, it had actually already spread. And then it just took a year to express itself. And honestly, probably like my body was maybe fighting it off, but because I was treating myself so poorly, partying and everything, it was able to grow. I think that, I had like just had COVID. And I don't know if my body was like busy fighting COVID and that's what caused like the tumor to grow or whatever. You can get into the weeds on that. I'm not well versed on any of that, so I can't really say, but it was pretty interesting timing. And the long and short of that, I know I'm really dragging this out, but the long and short of that was just, hey, it's too big for radiation. You got to do chemo. And I was like, all right.
How many weeks of chemo?
I did, it was 3-week sessions. So I had 2 options. I could do a 2-drug 4-session treatment or a 3-drug 3-session treatment. And so it was the first week, it was every single day. Monday was a full day. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday were just shorter bursts. Monday, I got 3 drugs. The rest of the days, I just got 2. So it was like, it would end up being, they were supposed to be 6 hours. It ended up being like 8 hours. And then it would be like 3 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours. Then I'd just go in on a Monday.
Yeah.
Do the 8-hour one. Then I get the week off. Then I'd go in on Monday, do the 8-hour one and get the week off. Fucking chemo's fucked up, bro.
Oh, I'm sure, man.
It sucks. Yeah. I felt like an acid raisin, It was just, I got all sorts of crazy shit had happened to me. And like first day, my hands and feet went numb. Chemo brain is really tough.
Your hands went numb.
Yeah. It's like neuropathy.
Wow.
Yeah. I suffered from neuropathy for like a year afterwards. Just like couldn't touch anything hot or cold. Couldn't open a pop can. It was like too sensitive on my fingers. It would like hurt. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's kind of a crazy
You're an
experience.
active guy, so I'm sure that weighed on you too.
It did. Yeah. And I actually want to shout out my friend August Shield right here because when I went in, so kind of backing up, if you want to talk about health and being active. So after my surgery, when they removed my testicle, I was like 185 pounds, lean as can be. I was doing like yoga all the time. I had like no body fat, but I wasn't like big. I was like pretty svelte, like pretty slim, And when I did that surgery and I'm fucked up on painkillers on my mom's couch, thank you, Mom, for taking care of me. I'm like looking at myself and I'm like, damn, like I don't have like much to lose.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was laid up for 3 weeks, hard to eat, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, if I don't fucking like put some weight on and this shit comes back, like I had this thought, I was like, I need to get bigger so that if I ever have to do anything like this again, I have something for like to eat away at.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because when you're kind of laid up and your health's down and you're looking at yourself and you don't have much on your bones, you're like, there's only a certain amount of time your body can sustain like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I started lifting weights, immediately put on 10 pounds. It happened in like 3 weeks. My body was like, thank you. Like you needed this,
Yeah.
So that was nice. So then when I went into chemo, I was like 195 and I'm like, okay, this is chill. And I was talking to them and they're like, yeah, you're really active, huh? I'm like, yeah, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to like rest? And they're like, well, we used to think you're supposed to rest. Like when the doctors would tell people when they were doing chemo, take it easy, conserve your energy. But we know that that's not the case anymore. Energy creates more energy, right? So if you're someone even listening to this and you don't have a lot of energy, it's because you're not doing a lot of stuff. You need to expend what you can, and the next day you'll have more. Mm-hmm. The more that you do, the more that you can do. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, if you're active, stay active. So I stayed going to the weight room. I took like hikes every day for my mental sanity as well, because you're sitting in the hospital with all these dying people around you. And
do you ever become friends with any of those people? Or is it not really a talkative, like you're not talking?
Dude, the nurses
were cool.
They were super cool. They were saints. Yeah, they were all super nice. Not any of the other people next to me.
Were you the youngest guy in there?
By a landslide.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'll say a couple things here. When you're doing chemo, you don't want to fucking talk. I kind of felt bad because the nurses were also nice to me. And I was like, you're pretty grouchy, but not because you are like, because you're dying, because you're being actively poisoned, like they're pouring like what I essentially just call like battery acid into you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not feeling great.
Mm-hmm.
Your chemo brain is a really big thing where your brain just doesn't really function that well. So no, you're not feeling super social. The other thing you get is steroids to keep your like the body functions that you do have working, to keep those or your body functions, like to give them a boost, you know? So you kind of had to, I had like roid rage like multiple times.
Really?
Yeah. Where I would like have this like and I'd be like, what the fuck is the matter with me? Why am I like angry about that? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm taking steroids every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Another really crazy aspect of the chemo thing was that it actually totally fucks up your hormone production. So I had like none. I had like none of anything. So I got like monk state often, where you could just kind of view the world with no internal sort of chemicals affecting the way that you feel about something. And as a guy, that's very interesting because testosterone is a fucking big player in that. You know, I was talking about having low testosterone and not feeling good. But when you have nothing, you can kind of see the way I was able to reflect on how I act when I do have my chemicals all functioning, all my hormones working, and when I don't. And it's much, I don't want to say it's better, but it's a lot more chill when you don't have any hormones going on. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I kind of got like this, what I felt it would be like a monk state. You know? No desires.
Wow.
Period. You're just kind of like existing.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Did you have any like visions or anything like when you were in that state that you like normally didn't have, or you're like, okay, maybe I should just take away all the social stuff and maybe I should just be me and try to live the best life? Or what was that like with that?
100%. So I think that the one that I just mentioned of kind of reflecting on how you act when there's things at play in your system, when your hormones are affecting the way that your mind thinks, was interesting because you never get out of that space. Yeah. So to be out of that space and to reflect back on when you're in that space, like even now I'm like, oh yeah, this is because I'm feeling this way, or I have this, or I have low this, or high this. Another one was just health in general. Mm-hmm. So with the limited mental capacity that I had, I was doing a lot of research on now what, because the first time I didn't look forward as to what was going to be my reality. And this time I was very much like, all right, how effective are these drugs? What are my chances of a recurrence? How am I supposed to live? And basically everyone said, you know, stay as healthy as you can. I forgot, I shouted out August. I want to go back to the conversation I had with him about the hands and the staying active and stuff. But this was actually a time that I thought about how to remain healthy after this, because you basically have a 2-year time period after this chemo where you have a very low chance of a recurrence, but there's still a chance. And then after 2 years, it drops off significantly.
Okay.
And so I didn't take care of myself the first time, partly ignorance, partly arrogance. Mm-hmm. And this time I wasn't going to be ignorant or arrogant, and I was going to take care of myself. And I was just sitting in that chair day after day, just being like, how is the next 2 years going to look for me? And I decided, I was like, well, what's the like most unhealthy thing I do? I'm like, that's drinking. And so I was already 3 months, 4 months off booze from the chemo, you know, because you can't drink when you're doing that. Right. And so I was like, I'm going to take a year off of drinking. I was like, I already got 3 months under my belt. I only got 9 more months.
It's a long time, man.
Yeah. So I took a year. That was great. Right before I went back into it, the Huberman podcast on alcohol came out. Have you listened to that one?
Oh yeah, I love Andrew.
It's fucking great. He's phenomenal. Have you listened to that specific podcast?
No, I haven't. I'll check it out.
It's incredible. And I was kind of hesitant on how I was going to bring booze back into my life after a year. Listen to that podcast, I was like, fuck that shit. I'm done. Like I was liking it. It was really great. So anyone who's considering taking some time off of alcohol, I certainly would recommend it.
It's so hard. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. And I'm drinking again now. So I see, you know, I was joking with my friend last night I had dinner with, and I was like, fuck, am I going to drink every day this week? You know, because I drank on Tuesday at a show. And then the next day I had to meet a friend and he was late. So I got a beer. And then last night I had to drink at dinner, and guess what? It's Friday night, you know? So it's bad. But the thing that I'll say is that you can totally live your life without doing it easily. You can still have as much fun. You can't stay out as late. I will say that. You don't dance as well.
Yeah. Jokes aren't as funny.
Jokes aren't. Well, you know, it does kills your inhibition.
It's like there's something special where you meet up with a friend. It's like, hey, you want a beer? Yeah, let's have a beer. Okay, sweet. And then you start talking. And then it's like, oh, I got time for one more. Okay, let's do one more.
Yeah.
Boom. And then it's like it just elevates everything. But also, I've heard like a few of my friends liked it a little too much, and then they quit and went on this kind of journey themselves.
Yeah.
And they were like, dude, I haven't drank in about 4 weeks, and my mind is just sharp as shit. Like just sharp as shit. You wake up and you're like, boom, I got to get this done. Boom, 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 boom. Lost like 30, 40 pounds. They're back to what they felt like as a kid, you know, and it's just wild.
It's funny that you say that because I think the biggest takeaway for me of the benefits of stopping drinking was mental clarity.
Yeah.
And I had seen it in a friend. Who had some hard, you know, he didn't like have like massive fuck ups, but he stopped drinking.
He could sense it was coming or something.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that when he stopped drinking, he witnessed and I witnessed him turn his life in the exact direction that he wanted it to go. Mm-hmm. He was so clear on what he wanted and it just happened because there's nothing really interfering with that. So I experienced the same thing. My life turned around so amazingly, and not that it was bad before, but it was just very much, you were clear. And your mind was clear, and you were clear on your emotions and your feelings and your direction. So
do you think that was maybe, and I don't want to get religious with you, but do you think that was maybe like a higher power telling you, hey, Austin, take a step back, see what life is like when you can be clean, when you can do this, and you got this good business that's starting to grow. Let's take a step back, reconvene, see what's important to you.
Totally. And, you know, whatever your higher power is, whether it's just, you know, karmic cycle of the universe or if it's God or something, certainly. I will say that I don't think I've given enough time and reflection on the energetic side of what I went through. I actually had it was my roommate's friend asked me about that, and it just kind of hit me because at that point I was just recovering from the chemo. I was like, fuck, I still have this whole like larger journey to go through, not just the physical side of like, of that download of what did that mean? Where did that come from? Why did that happen? What are the repercussions? What was the meaning, you know? And I think there's a lot to explore there. I certainly have explored it, but there's definitely more to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, back to the drinking. It's cool that you have friends who have done that. Certainly worthwhile.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Breaks are good. It's always good.
It's good. And
what was that first beer like when you came back?
Dude, it was at Tanner's wedding. It was at Tanner's wedding. It was
Tanner Lee gotcha.
It was a fucking Twisted Tea.
Oh.
At 10 a.m.
Oh.
I was regretting it. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever done. I felt like absolute shit that whole day until lunchtime. And then I had an ice cold Modelo with the lime. And I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
This is great.
Back in the pocket.
That was actually a year in. And so the funny thing about drinking, and I kind of do want to cover this for people because nobody really gives a shit. A lot of people I feel like peer pressure, but when you tell people you're not drinking, they don't give a shit. The thing that does happen though is they get uncomfortable because a lot of times, maybe like you said, you had some buddies who did it too much. If someone, does have like a problem with it, and it can be like other people feel shame for that person. So it's interesting I say I didn't have a problem, but then you look back on it and you're like, oh, all the time, dude, I have a problem.
Yeah.
Fuck, I drank a lot.
Yeah.
Damn, I wasn't doing the things I wanted to do. I was spending a lot of money on that. You know, that's another advantage I don't think people think about. How much goddamn money you save when you stop drinking. It's insane.
Yeah.
So it really does improve your life in a lot of ways. Where was I at before I said the money thing?
We're talking a little bit about alcohol.
Yeah.
But and then maybe this will help you, or help you find out where we were. But I saw this really unique clip that I was talking to one of my buddies who went sober about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And it was Bradley Cooper, the famous actor. And he was doing an interview, and the interviewer person was like, "Hey, Bradley, you quit drinking how tough was that? And he's like, oh, it was beautiful. It was this beautiful thing, because I wouldn't be sitting here today talking to you if I would have been on the path that I was. So he's like, it changed my life incredibly well.
Yes.
And I wouldn't be where I'm at today, successful actor, if I would have been drinking.
100%.
So there's a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah, there certainly are. It helps in a lot of ways. It was funny when you were talking, my idea came back and then I lost it again.
Oh no, that's all right. That's all right. Well, listen, bro, we've been at it for right around an hour. Okay. I got to head up to Big Sky to that wedding, but I really appreciate the time.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of deep stuff. Appreciate you opening up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And next, give us a quick plug where people can find Nexus and what you guys are all about.
Oh yeah. Nexus.driveupcoffee on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, my Instagram is at AUSTDAYT if you want to see some of those cancer things we were talking about.
Yep.
Man, I feel like we didn't even get to dive into you.
No, it's all
no.
good,
Don't
bro.
tell me. Give me 5 things before you go. What
5 things?
Yeah. Where's the podcast at?
Podcast is doing really well.
Yeah.
We've been getting some big guests coming up.
That's awesome.
Unfortunately, unfortunately, but I've been doing a lot of like sports ones, like a lot of NFL football.
Yep.
And that's good.
Yeah.
But when I started swim lessons, I wanted to cover like all walks of life, like people like yourself.
Yep.
Like yoga people, medicine, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So I got kind of pigeonholed into just being a sports one, which is okay.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I'm deep in the sports world, do broadcasts and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to transition back into that. So that's one thing.
Cool.
Second thing, a lot of moving pieces in my personal life, which we won't share, but like there's a lot of things there. Third thing, be kind of getting back. I'm down 35 pounds, so that's good. So getting back into shape.
Yeah, you're looking good.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get to that Austin Dayton status, bro. You look very. Fourth thing, I would say just the merch and the website has been very good and also very like learning curve wise.
I was going to ask.
It's
if you're
hard.
learning a lot. It's hard, dude. I'm trying to make hats for my coffee shop right now, and
bro,
you think that would take an hour? And
it's hard. Pricing. What do you want to put on? What colors? What's going to be good? And then the website, like, was so frustrating because it took me a long time to put together.
Yeah.
Spent like $300 to get a year-long thing.
Yeah.
And then I put it together, and then I'm looking at like Barstool Sports and how they do their mobile web, and it's like way better.
Yeah.
And they went through somebody else. I'm like, shit, then did I just waste $300?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and then you got to spend money to make money. And it's the fifth thing, the most important, is just spiritually, I feel like I'm growing into this new person. Like I'm not the same. And it's big because, I mean, Buffalo Chip, I just got a new job with them marketing, which is good.
Awesome. Like year round?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Congrats.
thank you. And then still farming with my dad. So that's fun to do with my mom and dad. Horse racing with them as well.
And how's the farm doing?
Good. It's fun. I love the big city life. Like last night I was telling my friends and my girlfriend, like, hey, man, it's good to be in the city again. Because I'd spent a lot of time in Scottsdale and Phoenix. But
what city are you in now?
Crosby, my hometown.
Yeah.
It's like 1,200 people.
Yeah. Big city.
Big city. No stoplights. I love it though. Like the other day I was just sitting in my front porch and I didn't even see a car. The dog's just chilling.
Yeah.
Like there's just something to that. And I really like that. And I don't know if like 4 years ago that Dallas had been like, no, dude, we got to go to Austin, Texas. Like that was always my big thing. I wanted to go to Austin, Texas.
Totally.
But now things are changing and I'm just kind of trying to realize that my life is turning to a good point, and I have to accept that, and you don't know what's going to happen in the future, and you can be I'm going to start this swim lessons podcast, I'm going to have merch, it's going to be successful. That might not happen, and that's okay with me, but at least I tried. Totally. And years ago I would be like, no, we got to push.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm more reserved and like, you know what, if it doesn't work, it's okay.
Totally.
Like it's all good.
Yeah.
If I keep,
it takes pressure off.
It takes pressure. And when I told you I was working on that website and I was so pressured out and just like, God damn it, I got to get this going. This thousands of dollars of merch is here, sitting here just waiting. And the first day I got 6 orders and I'm like, fuck, like,
how do I fulfill an order?
Dude, like, yeah. And the orders, like, I'm like, okay, their address is on there. Okay, what do I ship it in? Okay, now I got to figure that out, blah, blah, blah. It's just, you think, that's why I really look up to you, because you've got how many in the Valley now? 4 Nexus Coffee Huts? 3.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it's very cool and it's very inspiring to watch somebody like you, man.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
real quick, I almost forgot. Swim lessons.
No, we're going to keep going, dude. Come on. We
I
got
know,
you talking now.
I know.
We haven't even gotten a chance to be goofy yet. I was just fucking regurgitating info.
Swim Lessons, a podcast about overcoming tough times.
Yes.
You mentioned a little bit about starting a business, overcoming some diseases. How do you, and what do you say to yourself in those tough situations to kind of get over the hump and the chips aren't falling the way you want?
Ooh. I don't know if there's anything I particularly say to myself. I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I think what I'll say to that is just silver linings.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about struggling with your website.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, now you know how to make a website.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like it, you know how to make a website that you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Now the next step is making a website that you do like.
Mm-hmm.
So when times are tough, the sad thing is that I don't want to say this to discourage anybody, but if you're on a path of growth and you experience adversity, you're going to be better on the other side of that.
Yeah.
Dude, some people get knocked down by it and they don't fucking wake up to the message that they're getting, and they don't rise to the occasion, and that sucks. But when you are down, it's like I think Jocko says something about it, not to get like super broy and
Jocko,
not to like repeat what other people say, but it's like he has this thing, and it's a great audio clip, and it pops up all the time. The good one, or good,
yeah, good. Things aren't going your way. Good, yeah,
dude. Anything like that, yeah, good. There's opportunity here to better yourself, and you're learning shit. So. Yeah, if you got a mountain in front of you, you know, Ryan Holiday, or some fucking stoic philosopher, you know, he kind of got the steam out of there. Like, the obstacle is the way. Like that difficult thing that you're facing, that is the direction that you're being called to go. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
beautiful. I love you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thanks for coming.
We'll run this back again.
We definitely got to hit this again, because we got to get a little more back and forth.
Yes.
Now people know my story, your listeners, and then when we come back, you know, I think the thing for me is I've done a couple podcasts now.
Yeah.
Super fun, super grateful. I really appreciate a place to share my story. I hope I can get some of these clips.
Yes, I'll send them your way. I got all that drone footage too from when I came and saw Nexus and you were working.
Yes.
So we'll put that in.
I would love that. That would be super cool.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, I think there's like a lot of things that you touched on, just about sort of spiritual direction, things like that, that we could riff on a lot more. Yeah.
Maybe we'll do one in the mountains.
That would be awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, brother.
Much love, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
cool.
Awesome Dayton, everybody.